Today we're going over the Greatsword, Monster Hunter's most iconic weapon, well, aside from the sword and shield. On the off chance that you do hit something, you do some pretty decent damage. Not as much as a sword and shield, but it's comparable. And your swing arcs are so all over the place and so fast like some kind of sword and shield wannabe, which allows you to take advantage of monsters' elemental weaknesses. Except you won't do it nearly as well as a sword and shield, as the dual blades are inferior in every way. On a totally unrelated note, Capcom, why didn't you keep oils for the sword and shield? Do you hate sword and shield or something? They toned down the one that we got in the game down to 10% of its full potential, which is only 0.025 of that of the sword and shield. So let's say you're a bit cautious at getting close to the monster and you'd like to hide behind a near impenetrable wall while you hack away at your target, occasionally doing sick jump attacks. You want something that's simple to learn but hard to master and has quite the bit of utility despite its initial simple nature. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but this isn't the sword and shield guide. I'm showing off the pokey stick. Although its blocking abilities aren't nearly as good as the sword and shields, it is capable of keeping you solidly planted and unmoved by some of the heaviest attacks the New World can throw at you. Let's say you can't decide between using a ranged or melee weapon. Stop being so weird, Gunlance. This is why sword and shield doesn't visit anymore. When you're playing a game where jellyfish can fly, frogs can explode, and the sword and shield is considered bottom tier, there's a whole lot of weird shit that makes no sense. If it weren't for the fact that the longsword was training wheels on training wheels and the sword and shield is the only obvious choice, the switch axe is perfect for anyone who's absolutely garbage at Monster Hunter, i.e. most of you. But then there's always a younger and more successful new hotness coming along, showing us that there will always be someone to pass the torch to and carry on the legacy to meet and maybe even surpass our own expectations. So if anyone can show me a weapon like that, I'd gladly drop the sword and shield, because it's certainly not this mighty morphing monstrosity. The charge blade is the ambitious little brother of the sword and shield, who's been hanging out a little bit too long with the switch axe. While in sword mode, you have your basic watered down rip-off S&S moveset. Advancing slash, short combo, block, bash, spin. It's okay, charge blade, we all want to be sword and shield when we grow up. And no, sorry, you can't use your slinger. Only the mighty sword and shield could handle a tool so powerful. The light bowgun is kind of like the sword and shield of ranged weapons, except if it was lame and had to catch its breath every 5 seconds. Unfortunately, the biggest reason the light bowgun doesn't reach the godly status of the sword and shield, aside from how you can't use items while it's unsheathed. Having trouble keeping it up, Gunlance? And now you know how to use the bow, you're welcome. It's coming.